And of course, the truth is, when you have that kind of conversation with somebody, there's no answer to this. There's no easy answer. The fact is, and here's what the president said about opening in a safe and reasonable fashion. Is there a way to do this intricately? Is there a way to do this carefully? They're trying. And of course, it's southern states. So automatically, you're going to have the normal anti South bigotry and condemnation that is in the DNA of the mainstream media. Again, states like Georgia, Tennessee, South Carolina, trying to figure out how do we crack the door open a little bit, let some of these folks get back to work. Here's what the president said about waging the medical war against the dreaded coronavirus while reopening the country.
Following the release of our reopening guidelines, governors across the country are looking forward to phase one and announcing plans for an economic resurgence. We're going to have a resurgence, too. At a time when millions of American workers and families are struggling with the financial consequences of the virus, it's critical to continue the medical war while reopening the economy in a safe and responsible fashion. During this time, Americans must maintain strict vigilance and continue to practice careful hygiene, social distancing, and the other protective measures that we have outlined and that everybody's become very familiar with. We continue to be encouraged that many of the areas hardest hit by the virus appear to have turned the corner.
Now, does that sound like an unreasonable thing for the president to say? If you hate this president, did you hear anything unreasonable there? If so, you may want to look in the mirror and check yourself. Dr. Birx was asked about the beaches starting to reopen. South Carolina trying to open, I guess, the boat ramps, starting to gradually figure out how to let some people get back to making a living and to putting food on their family's table. And I thought, again, for all the hatred that is directed towards President Trump, hasn't been a lot of hatred directed to Dr. Birx. So I wonder what the Trump haters have to say about this.
The governor of South Carolina announced today they're going to open some stores with restrictions, but they just told my colleague Natasha Chen that they have not achieved that criteria in the White House guidelines about the downward trajectory for 14 days. So shouldn't they not be reopening stores today?
We have asked every governor to follow the guidelines, just as we've asked every American to follow the guidelines put out by the president. But each of the governors can decide for themselves whether they've reached specific guidelines in specific areas. I had a question, I think, on Saturday about Jacksonville and their beaches. So I did spend about 5 hours going to every state website, and I will tell you that the Florida Department of Health website is extraordinary. And this is what every Department of Health should have. Because when you go to that website, you can see that most of the cases are in southern Florida, in the Miami, Fort Lauderdale, Broward County area. And if you look in Jacksonville, they had less than 20 cases per day and less than 800 in 4 weeks. And so these are the kinds, when you inform the public and give them the information that they need, then they can make decisions along with the local government and governors. So I'm not going to say specifically with South Carolina because I don't know their specific website right now, and I don't talk about data unless I've seen it myself. But I know from Jacksonville that they had less than 20 cases a day. And so this is how we need to start informing the community.
I am praying for a day when we can try to look at this collectively and stop being at each other's throats politically. I mean, it's tough. It's an election year, and there's a lot of rough things being said back and forth. But there was some news from the president's task force briefing yesterday that I thought, frankly, was pretty encouraging. And it was an announcement that the Governor Cuomo of New York, who has sparred with the president a lot. They're both feisty New Yorkers. Cuomo has admitted that. I've seen him interviewed, and he said, listen, we're both New Yorkers. We talk bluntly. You come at me, I go at you. You go at me. Here, the president announcing yesterday that Cuomo and Trump are going to meet in the White House.
I want to draw your attention to Governor Cuomo's remarks during his press conference today. He said the president is right. The state's testing is up to the states to do, which will implement the tests and logistically coordinate the tests. We have about 300 labs in New York, and they're great labs, actually. And it's my job to coordinate those 300 labs. I think the president's right when he says that the states should lead, and the governors they're really getting it together in New York. A lot of good things are happening in New York, and I think the governor's going to come in to see us tomorrow. He's coming to the Oval Office tomorrow afternoon. Andrew is going to be coming in with some of his people.
You know, Governor Cuomo said last week when they were kind of in the thick of their back and forth, I extend my hand in cooperation and what was the other word he used? Cooperation and something else. But saying this is not a time to fight, and it's really not. This isn't a time to bicker. This isn't a time to battle. This is a time to try to get America through what is one of the worst crises, if not the worst crisis we've ever seen. We're in the ReliefFactor.com studios. Welcome back to the kitchen. We are working from home like millions and millions of people are in their homes, some working, many not. And that's the tough question here. What is that balance and what does this look like? And I'm going to ask you a question I've been asking, and I will continue to ask to the Rachel Maddows and the Don Lemons of the world who are denigrating the states that are trying to reopen. When would you have us open? And that's not rhetorical. When would you do it? A month? 6 months? When the virus is gone? Okay, that may be in a couple of years. How does that look for you? Please tell me. Please let us know. 1-800-655-MIKE. Press 1 to come on air with us. Press 2 to leave a voicemail message or leave us a text message on the MyPillow text line, which is also 800-655-6453. I hope you join us. Welcome in to the Mike Gallagher Show.